call this meeting of New Iberia City Council to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Oh God, today is a new day with many unknowns. Old problems may need new solutions. New challenges may call for new solutions. Please give us the guidance and support for us to make those decisions. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Natalie Rodan.
Present.
Councilmember Peggy Durant.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Swear.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember David Merrill.
Here.
Councilmember Raymond Lewis.
Present.
And Councilmember Kelvin Begno.
Here.
Mayor Curry, you have the floor.
Thank you. At this time, we have public comment. I'd ask everyone to please silence their phones. And it is your opportunity to address the council concerning any agenda item. There's no discussion. It is simply your opportunity to express your concerns or opinions concerning an agenda item. I've only received one card. It's from Mr. Michael Bell, and he'd like to address agenda items 3A and 3B. A is a resolution that we're submitting to the Louisiana Department of Social Services for the Shelter Emergency Application Grant, and B is a resolution creating an economic development district. Yes, you can approach the podium, Mr. Bell.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mayor, the first one I would like to talk about is the shelter, emergency shelter. I know that is much needed in our community, and I hope in the very near future, and I don't know if the city had anything to do with the demolition of the old schools. To me, and to a lot of people I spoke to, the old A.B. Simon and also the Flowers A. Pemberton downtown would have been perfect locations for shelters, et cetera, et cetera. The only problem that they have was mold. And now I see we're asking for money to make that work. But I just hope in the very near future that we do less demolition and more constructive things in our city that would have saved us some money. And that, like I said, I don't think the city had a lot to do with it, but I looked at that building, and the building withstood many hurricanes. And it's going to be far more costly in the near future, just a little common sense, to build something like that. And I think that's one of the things that we shouldn't have done, to tear down those facilities, because it's an asset to our city. And anytime we tear down asset, we're tearing down the community. Okay, and this resolution for the historical district, and I hope that, Mayor, that you guys would consider the oldest part of the city, which is the West End area and the Hopkins Street area, where there's a lot of old buildings. And keep in mind, we are doing our best, because we know we can't just depend on others to do the things that we have to do, and we're doing that. Believe me, we don't get credit, but we're doing it. We need a lift. Why not take a certain part of Hopkins and put it in that along with the historical gun? It's the whole oldest part of the city, but it has been neglected, not by the people who live in that community, but people who live outside of the community. That's the main problem. And I hope you people really consider adding the West End to part of that. Like I said, we don't need you to do it for us. Just open the door. Once you open the door, I'm sure we have intelligent people, strong people, people with good minds that can do it ourselves. So just open the door for the people in that community. We would like to see fine businesses, clothing store, grocery store. I like to read, bookstores as well. But right now, because we have that problem, it's not considered historical. That's one of the reasons why there's liquor stores. And our poor children, that's all they see. They don't see the positive things. So that's why I'm out here to plead with you guys. Please consider the West End, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Bell.
Bell.
We also have Mr. David Grona, who would like to speak on agenda item 3C, which is a resolution for Department of Transportation, DOTD, to lower the speed or look at the speed in that area in front of the hospital and reduce the speed, put overhead flashing lights, and a crosswalk. Thank
Good
you.
afternoon, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My pleasure to be here. I'm a member of the board of directors of the hospital, and as you know, the hospital is one of the major employers in the parish, in the city. And we have, at any given time, we have 1,000 people, including employees, on our campus. And our campus now has grown to where we're on both sides of Louisiana Highway 182. And we have parking on both sides of 182. We have doctors' offices and facilities on both sides of Highway 182. The speed limit there is 45 miles an hour. We have employees trying to cross that highway with vehicles going 45 miles an hour. It's just, can I tell you, it's an accident waiting to happen. And so what we'd like to do is to have the City Council ask the Department of Transportation to seriously look at reducing that speed limit to something along the lines of what you would see in front of a school, 25 miles an hour. And also to improve the crosswalk, because we have so many people crossing the highway there, to give a lot more visibility that cars should slow down and look out for people crossing. You know, we have not only employees, but we have patients, and patients cannot cross that highway at a high rate of speed. So we need to do everything we can to protect the safety of our citizens, and I know that you would agree with me that that's a priority. So I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you allowing me to come to speak to you tonight. I look forward to hopefully the DOT doing something about this situation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, the next agenda item is acceptance of the minutes of the New Iberia City Council meeting held on August 4th, 2015, as published on Thursday, August 13th, 2015. Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Rack. Is there any discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. The next agenda item is a resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing submission to the Louisiana Department of Social Services, Office of the Community Services, the 2015 State Shelter Emergency Grant application.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Lewis, a second by Mr. Rack. Is there any discussion?
Mayor. Yeah, I got some discussion too.
I'm sorry, who spoke up? Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I know we've been doing this, yearly at this time of the year. It provides shelter, for men. I wish it was for both, men and women, but this one in particularly is for men. It's a good thing. And to kind of answer Mr. Bell, who mentioned the school district, and they probably could have used that for a shelter. Well, the school district did decide to demolish. When I was on the school board, they tried to sell it, and because of the state fire codes, not the city fire codes, the buyers, it made it literally impossible to buy, because you had to go in and put sprinkler systems and all kind of things. But that was the school board's ultimate decision. But that's why you didn't have buyers go and try to buy it. Well, you had a couple of prospective buyers that I know of, but when they look at the cost of sprinkler systems and that low of a ceiling of a building, it was not like you could. It wouldn't have worked out. So, but the shelter is a good thing, and we want to continue to support their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the shelter is a good thing, and the emergency grant money for the application could be something that can be used wisely in New Iberia, but they also have other facilities in New Iberia too. that house men, and they have a shelter Serenity in New Iberia too. So I think whatever we can do also to try to get them extra money if we can, possibly to help them too, because they have facilities that's already open. I think that would be something that the city needs to be able to generate, you know, more help from more people, because one organization can't house all the people that's out there on the streets, and you got people sleeping in the parks and everything around the area. So one thing what Mr. Bell said too about the buildings, Mr. Lewis answered that question as far as the school part of it is. But I do agree that if we have some buildings that's vacant that can be used, you know, I think that's something we should look at and look into the cost of see what it would be to be able to use those facilities for situations like the shelter. And but other than that, I'm all for you know, doing whatever we can to help the people that's out there that need some help, need to be able to feel that they're important and there are, you know, people like us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ask you to please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item, Madam Clerk, 3B.
A resolution creating an economic development district according to the state of Louisiana, revised statute 474311, chapter 4, limited exemption from downtown historic and economic development districts, finding and purpose relative to the land and improvements at 1101 East Admiral Doyle Drive, measuring 4 acres, formerly known as the Iberia Bank.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Doyle, second by Mr. Bagno. And I want to recognize that we have Mr. Benny Maynard and Mr. Greg Inzarella here this evening. They're both representing Community First Bank. And basically what this is it's the opportunity for us to apply for a restoration grant, which would, they're going to estimate it to spend about $2.7 million on renovations of the building. And what happens is the tax basis would remain the same for ad valorem taxes as it was the year prior to the beginning of the renovation. So for 5 years, the taxes would, the ad valorem tax would remain the same, and they'll have an opportunity to renew it for another 5 years. I think it's a great opportunity for economic development for our community, and you know, I certainly hope you'll support it. Mr. Bagno?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I was just excited to see that they were gonna put that building in use. Now, I know there's a lot of construction, I'm sure that's gonna need to be done to that building, but at one point in time, we heard that they were gonna have, someone was thinking about demolishing it. Well, at least it's a way to keep it going, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, before we go further, also, I'm sorry, and Mr. Mike Tarantino is also here, he was hidden behind, yeah, behind Daily Iberian, here representing Iberia, IDF, Iberia Development Foundation. Mr. Lewis?
I just would like to add that Community First has been good partners with our city and our parish. I know that firsthand. Small bank, but good people, always willing to help for the right things, but they have been good partners in our city and in our parish that we all love and we live in. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Roban?
I just want to personally tell them thank you.
I also want to recognize Ms. Bro, because Ms. Bro jumped right in there and got in touch with the Department of Economic Development. She worked very closely with them to get the information for the resolution and to move this process forward. So thank you very much. Yes. Oh, Mr. Merrill, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you finish and then.
That's it. I just wanted to
All right.
recognize Jane for the work that she did on this also.
Community First is in my district on Jefferson Street, you know, one of the banks, and I do deal with them personally. I think that's a good move, and I see that they have grown a lot, and that is good for us as a community, and I see they're trying to spread out, and I think it'll be good too. I want to ask a question on the building itself. Are y'all planning on putting other businesses in the top levels of that building, or is this going to be all Community First?
Thank you. My name is Benny Menard. The idea, of course, is just to use it for the bank facility. But the process, of course, is there's over 80,000 square feet of building there.
Right, right.
Our intention is to use the first and second floor for bank facilities. If there is an opportunity for us to lease pieces of it to other organizations, companies, whatever, that's all part of the economic development district that we intend to do, bringing more employment, more jobs to the city of New Iberia. I want to say this, though, that for Community First Bank to make this major investment to this is that New Iberia will always be its hometown.
Right.
We will continue, as the bank continues to grow, and we all know banking grows beyond parish lines now. And now we have electronic banking. And all that needs to be supported by the main office, by the main operations. And I think I can say on behalf of the board that if we're going to make this major investment, that we now consider this to be our home forever.
Right.
So I think that's the real key of all this, is that the building was considered to be raised, actually tore down, especially maybe just a six-story tower. But we were able to make it work for us to the fact that we will utilize the first two floors. And the third, fourth, fifth, and, well, not the sixth, but the third, fourth, and sixth is an opportunity to bring in additional businesses in the future.
That's what I wanted to hear, because I think with the revenues we haven't been getting in the city, you know, with you guys coming in, I'm pretty sure you're gonna advertise what you're doing, you know, pretty well. And that may, you know, allow some other businesses or some other operations that can come in and utilize those floors and bring us some extra revenues in the city, because that's what we need pretty much right now.
The tower is a beautiful tower. It needs some work to it.
Right.
But I think everyone will be proud of what it will be once it's done. This will take place probably most of next year.
Okay.
So it won't be until next year when you'll actually see the development of this all happen. But I hope everyone will be proud of what that building will look like and be available for our bank and for anyone else who's intended.
Thank you.
Mr.
And
Bagno?
what are the plans for the two facilities on Jefferson Terrace? Any plans or not yet?
The plans for the two facilities on Jefferson Terrace is that the main office, which is on the corner of 20 Arpin and Jefferson Terrace, where is going to end up still being a branch. We're going to make it a branch type of financial center. We won't need the entire facility there, but we will consider it a branch. The operations center will probably be put up for sale, and hopefully get another tenant or someone in there that will, again, bring more businesses into the city.
That's great. Good. Glad to hear that.
Right.
I'm Greg Anzarella, by the way. I think one of the things that Benny and I talked about, and we were talking with Jane earlier today, is that we're gonna let you guys know that we also are gonna be putting up another branch on 182, which I call where the fruit stand used to be. Everybody understands that. So one of the things that we're probably gonna be coming back to the council for, you people, is hopefully to annex that situation into the city. So we're gonna probably have to form another economic district. And our issue right now, because of the time frame, is that we might have to go to the parish to establish this economic district, and then some form of fashion incorporate that to, if we do annex that property into the city, then we will incorporate that into that economic development district. How that has to be done, I'm not really sure how that's gonna be done yet, but we would like y'all to be thinking about that, because our plans are to do something of that nature very soon, probably within the next month and a half, that we'll start construction. And what we'll hope to do is form another economic development district. If we annex it, which we hope to do, which we can apply for that, then if you guys would consider or give us consideration in maybe confirming or reconfirming in some part of fashion this economic development district on 182. So again, and listen, we appreciate everything that you've done. I think we all agree that I'm glad you guys think that we've been a good partner. We feel that we've been a good partner to city and to the parish, and we would like to continue to do so.
Yeah, I have one other thing.
Yes, Mr. Merrill?
And it goes back to what Mr. Bell said as well. I'm on board with Mr. Bell. If we can get some type of, funding at some later date and time that we can look into, to be able to turn some parts of the West End into a historical district, because I think that's important as well. We have a city that has a lot of historical district on the Main Street area, but we don't utilize our whole city as a historical district, and I really think that we need to start focusing on not just one part of the city, but the whole city as a whole when we start talking about historical districts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have to
Thank you.
agree-
Mr. Wright?
I have to agree 100% with Mr. Merrill. We need to focus more on moving that historical district to the older part of the city and bring up some of the history of the city that's dead.
Okay, I want to thank both of you for your commitment to Iberia, and y'all have been a great partner for our city, and I would ask our council at this time to please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you both for being, Mike left. Mike's still there too. Thank all of you for being here, and I know that Mike and Jane are going to continue to work very closely with you. Anything y'all need from the city, we're here to help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is a resolution, agenda item 3C. Madam Clerk?
A resolution to the Department of Transportation and Development in response to a resolution from the Iberia Medical Center's board requesting the speed zone in front of the medical center's main campus be reduced and also overhead flashing lights be installed to alert drivers to the possibility of walkers crossing.
Motion by Mr. Doyle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bagnell. I'd just like to give you a little bit of information on this before you vote. We certainly would like to send this resolution to DOTD, but I want you to know that I have spoken to DOTD. They are planning to to overlay Main and St. Peter in December of this year. So they said this would all be included in their plan. They had already spoken to the hospital about widening the turning lane into the hospital. They would have to do a study of reducing the speed. I have a feeling that that probably will work out, but they will have to study it before they can reduce it. And I think there was a crosswalk there at one time, so
Yeah,
it
I
was.
think it will be, certainly will be replaced. But I think it's important that we pass this resolution so that we can send it to DOTD, because they're in the design stage and preparing right now to move forward with the overlaying of Main and St. Peter. So, it all came at a great time that the resolution came to us at this time. So, I don't know if you have any comments, but I just
have
wanted you to
comments.
know. Yes, Mr. Merrill?
That is something that is very important. I've got other districts, people that live in that district mention the same thing, and because you do have a lot of people crossing back and forth, going to different medical parts of Iberia, and a crosswalk that can be more visible with a light definitely make a big difference. And I think it's a good idea, for sure.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. And the next agenda item is a recommendation of final subdivision approval to re-subdivide property at 318 Julia Street belonging to David Terrio, being the south half of Lot 12, Block 261, and the south 10-foot of the north half of Lot 12, Block 261 of the official map of New Iberia, being divided into 2 lots. We need a motion. A motion by Mr. Rack. I'm sorry?
I'm a second it. I think it's in my district. I have a
I'm
question.
sorry.
I'm gonna second the
Okay, a
motion.
motion, we have a motion by Mr. Rack, a second by Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Bro is here if you have questions. Thank you,
Cause
Ms.
I
Bro.
was, Ms. Bro, I've been looking for that property.
Terrio's grocery store?
That's it?
Yes, sir.
What he wants to
Well,
subdivide?
it's Terrio's grocery
In his house?
and his house,
Oh,
currently on one
oh,
lot.
okay.
And so he wants to
Okay.
subdivide it into 2 lots,
Okay.
just for family.
Purpose, right, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Do we have any further questions or discussion? Okay, please vote your machines. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next agenda item is a budget amendment, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk.
Finance
We
person?
have, we have Ms. Segura here. Sorry. It's a budget amendment 2014-15, 7, an ordinance amending the ordinance levying certain taxes appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2014-15.
The budget
We need a motion. A motion by Mr. Rack, a second by Mr. Bagno. And,
The budget adjustment that was included in the packet addresses two funds. First is in the general fund. I think y'all are aware that the AC units at the Slyman need to be addressed. So this adjustment appropriates $25,000 for that situation, and the money is being pulled out of the existing fund balance of the general fund, the unreserved fund balance. And so essentially, it stays about that $2.4 million. In addition to that, in the Parks and Recreation Fund, sometime back, we had amended the budget to replace the boiler, and there was a comment at that time that we possibly could receive further insurance proceeds. At that time, we had received like $18,000. We have received an additional $21,000, so we're adjusting that line by $21,000. Additionally, we have received $16,000 from On Tap and about $1,500 from a nonprofit group for playground enhancements. And so, in addition, we're recognizing that revenue and also recognizing the expense. By receiving that extra revenue in the park fund, it'll increase the fund balance up to about $40,000 at the end of fiscal 15.
do we have
What
any?
we accepted, we were gonna spend. So, you know, like the
Well, we had,
Playground equipment.
on the playground equipment,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be a
that's what-
wash.
yeah,
It's a
okay.
wash, but the fund balance will increase because we had
Right.
accounted for the full expenditure on the boiler replacement, but only a partial on the insurance. So now that we have more, it'll increase.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Swear?
Kim,
Yes,
where
sir.
are the bids for the air conditioning?
The proposals were received, yesterday.
Y'all didn't, how come y'all didn't put it on?
Well, the packet went out last
How
Friday.
come y'all didn't put it on our desk for tonight? So we could see what they wanted.
I wasn't-
How much are the bids anyway?
They were, the low was right at 20,000, a little bit over 20,000. I did it based on an estimate, which is why we have the 25. If y'all wanted to change that and only put the 20, it's more than 20,000, we can put the 21, if y'all would like to do that.
How much has that building made in the last year in rent?
The building, it's normally about 20, it's between 20 to $25,000 worth of income. There's also expenses though that are associated with the building,
How much are the expenses?
about the same,
About the same?
a little bit less.
You're really not making too much money with it.
Wouldn't think you would make that much.
It's not a huge profit generator, no sir.
No, that's what I say, at a time when you're getting ready to ask people to give more taxes, and you keep losing, I don't know a business that loses money like this that's gonna keep putting money into it, It might be time to close the doors on that one, and, keep the money for the Parks and Recreation area that where we really need it, Cause the building not utilized that much,
Okay.
How
Something
much
to
do
consider
they
for budget
think-
time.
Wait,
Oh, I just had
Ms. Robin?
a quick question. The 16,000 that we received from On Tap,
Correct.
what was that for? Was it for?
There was a listing, that the Parks Department had supplied, they had a,
Just so the community can know what On Tap has.
it was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
You can address.
Not
Do
everyone.
y'all have an objection to,
No, not everybody gets a newspaper.
Well, they don't.
Heather coming up? Heather, if you wanna let them know what,
It was in the newspaper though. We're purchasing a slide, some swings, and we have a slide that needs to be repaired. So that's, primarily most of the money. But, we're gonna put different items in different parts.
Okay, so
And
it's
so-
not,
and-
so the equipment that they've donated, the money that they've donated, the equipment is gonna go through various go to various parks
Correct.
throughout the city.
Correct.
And it's replacement equipment, some of it, like the
Some of it is
swings,
re-
it's
some of it is
replacing some of the
replacement, yeah.
broken equipment that we
Some
have.
of it is new
The swings are gonna be new,
Sure.
and we're purchasing a slide that is new, but the big replacement is a slide that is in one of the parks that's broken.
And it's part of another
It's
piece
a
of
cluster,
equipment.
right, it's a
In
piece of the
Parkwood
system.
subdivision, you're replacing some of the equipment or you're putting new equipment in there? Heather?
We're gonna, in the Armentar
Yeah.
Park, right, we're gonna put some swings and some spring riders,
'Cause
right.
The people was wondering why they cut down the nice trees that was in there, they gave shade, now
No,
they.
they came and asked us
Actually,
to
they
cut the
asked,
trees.
right.
Yeah,
We
but
had a
that-
meeting with them and
That's
they,
why they wanna know, the neighbors wanted to know why they cut the
Oh.
trees so pretty, to put equipment,
The
We-
grounds never dried, they stayed moist, it was
Right.
too much shade.
we did that
Right.
by request of the
Right.
neighbors, and what they're doing right now is they're trying to also revitalize the park and raise money and buy some equipment themselves, and they asked us to cut back with the trees. They were there, they showed us what they
Right.
wanted, because they said the ground stayed wet because it was too shady all the time. So it was by their request, and they met with us and showed us exactly what they wanted to do.
I've got other neighbors complaining, cause the
Well-
trees are not there, no more shade to bring the kids to, so.
We haven't heard from those.
And Heather,
Mr. Rack, and then I'll get Mr. Doyle.
Well, will they be able to replace that monkey bar in Weston Park that's all broke up?
Actually, that's one of the items that need to be removed,
Okay, thank you.
right.
And, would they be able to put some mulch on that ground, because it stays wet right under the playground?
Right, that is
I've been
something,
asking.
yeah, that is something that we do need to look into, we do need the mulch.
Okay.
Right, it's
Maybe
a
we could get
safety issue.
somebody to donate it to us, never know.
That would be great, Miss Peggy.
Yeah, I don't know where
That
you
would-
get it from, I was gonna call. Where did you get
We
it?
love
Y'all can
donations.
pick it up.
Yeah.
She wants to know where you get it. We could get with her later, and you can give us some
Yeah, we
information.
can, we'll
Okay,
take a look at
okay.
it.
Mr.
Okay.
Doyle,
If
I-
we could get some,
Miss- Oh, I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry.
Mr. Dahl had his hand up, and then Mr. Begno, and then Mr. Lewis, you want to speak after?
I had a question for Kimberly, or about the budget. It looks like on the air conditioning bid, it was around 21,000. So maybe after it's awarded and done, we can readjust the budget
We
at the
can actually do it
4,000.
tonight, I mean, if
Well,
y'all wanna.
something might come up, you never
Oh.
know.
Do that right now.
And something else I would wish y'all would do, because this project didn't have an engineer or anything involved except in-house, is that to make sure they have certificates of insurance of not only liability is personal comp.
Yes.
Because I know sometimes people don't have it and we don't want to be
Did.
liable.
All of these did.
Okay, I just wanted to make
They
sure,
did.
because it wasn't,
They all had
it
it.
didn't show it in the bid, it was required. I just want to make sure of that.
Let me see, I had Mr. Begno, then Mr. Lewis.
Just for
Begno?
clarification, I think you hit on it, Mayor, but
It's nice.
Ms. Heather and I spoke about some of the parks, and just for clarification on Armentar, it's, the people of the area have gotten together and
They
decided to
did.
do
I
something
had a
with the little
meeting with
park.
them, they called me and asked me to
Right.
come to meet with, and I met with them, and they, they've sent letters to the neighbors, they're trying to revitalize the park, and they had requested that we
And that's,
cut back.
that's something she and I had hit on, because there's other little parks, there's one in my district that I'd like to see,
Exactly.
take care of, and the people there would like to see it done, so maybe we can get a little meeting with those people and try to work
Sure.
on that and trying to get that going, but the parks do need, some of the small
Yeah.
parks need to be kept up and looked at, so, I mean, that's important, because
There were some beautiful oak trees.
they're going
they cut
down.
Yeah,
down.
this is for a later date, but just for
But-
your information, I just wanted to tell y'all that Heather and the Park Commission have evaluated all of the parks again. We did that some time back, and they will be coming back to you with some recommendations. And
That's where I was headed with this.
We definitely
Thank you.
need,
Yes.
hopefully if this tax passes, we have a plan in place, but if there's any money left over, that might be some things that you might want to look at.
And I guess, just if I could throw this out there for the general public, is that we, unfortunately, we've had to close the skate park and this is Park and Rec, so I'm gonna touch on that now. But I am trying to put together a little coalition that we can look into and see if there's something we can do to keep it going, because I personally have witnessed a lot of kids using that park, and maybe if we did something to get that park up to speed where it needs to be, we can keep them off of the structures on Main Street. So
Right.
I'm working on that, so if anybody wants to volunteer and help me, please call me, I'm available. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr.
I
Lewis?
just had a question for
Mr.
our superintendent.
Miss
If we
Dominique.
can get the mulch donated, can the city employees go get it?
Most definitely. We would work that out. We would certainly
Well,
work
it
that out.
seemed like we gonna get out of here early enough, so I'm gonna let you know.
Great. Appreciate that.
Mayor, can I have one
Anyone else?
question? For,
Yeah, sure.
I saw, attached in our agenda, not agenda, our packet, the assets that y'all sold, that equipment. Will that be, a budget amendment to each department later on of the monies that we got?
The money will go into the different funds.
Yeah, the final budget adjustment, assuming that it's material. I mean, I know some of them are, depending on the funds that they go back into.
So it looks like you got a total of like $42,000 of
Correct.
income from the assets. But, so you will be divided to each department?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if it's material.
So we
we'll-
do about a total, you mean? We
Right,
wait till
well,
the
I
end of the
should be, yeah, I should have my budget, the final budget adjustment ready either late September, early October.
year? Okay.
I'm gonna try and do it, no later than that first
Because I
meeting
just
in
didn't see it
October.
in this adjustment, so I was like.
Yeah, no, the sale just ended like Thursday.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
think Mr. Acker had her hand up.
Yes, I wanted to say, everybody seemed to be interested in the park, and playground equipment. We had a donor that came look at the West End Park. I'm not gonna say too much, but, they are very, very generous, and I think they're gonna try to apply for, a matching grant to try to get the money for the West End Park. When you look at the playground equipment, I think he was shocked. He was shocked. So they got a lot of people that's interested in the park, and we also got a grant that's being funded, $25,000 for the
Right,
park.
right.
So,
West End.
lot of things we need to do, because I see it, and I mean, I was so stressed out this week running from here to yonder. We don't have no kind of entertainment for our young children, none whatsoever. And we need to be ashamed of ourselves. We never thought about that. But we got to put our youth into some kind of recreation that they're interested in. We can't pick it for them. They need to tell us what they want. The children have nowhere to go, nowhere. I'm talking about little children and teenagers. Even when I was young, I used to go dance at various places or go play or skate. And I go to Ceramic and Generate. And I'm so proud of that, Ward 8. The children go skating there every day after school, all day on Sunday and Saturday. They don't close that park really. They bought some skates. That's something we need to look at into. And the children go skate free. And you got to see how beautiful that is. You know, I go to Ceramic every Tuesday over there. Generate is moving up on their recreation. We should talk to them and see what it costs to get some of the skate. Because maybe with some of the monies, if we lucky to get a donor to put up for our playground equipment, maybe some of the monies, and we raising money, and money, we could get some skates, something like that for the children to skate inside. And it costs nothing. They just got to skate, and somebody watch them and they skate. And it's beautiful. They play a little low music. That's an entertainment for the kids. So, I'm just having to talk to the board and see how they got that started, where they got those skates from. I'm very interested in that. I used to skate when I was young.
Thank
I
you,
was
Mr.
good
Ryan.
too.
Somebody else had the
I
hand up,
didn't
Mr.
know.
Merrill.
The, two things, the splash pad, you have any idea when that's gonna be, something that's gonna come about?
Well,
we have to try to pass the tax.
if the tax passes, then
So, okay,
that's all part of the proposal.
I thought it was something we was looking at before that. And, the street program, once again, do you have any
They're
idea
getting
when
ready to
they're
get
gonna
started
start?
within the next month or so, they should be.
Okay,
they get
you know how
ready.
they're gonna do it, Mary, if they're gonna go by?
I don't know what street
the
they'll
section
they'll
first, or-
begin with, but whenever they're ready to get started, we can ask John to come back and give you another report.
Right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? We didn't vote on the budget, on the amendment. If everyone would please vote their machines. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We have a few announcements. The next city council meeting will be held Tuesday, September 1st, 2015. The next Neighborhood Watch meeting for District 4, Mr. Merrill, will be held on Thursday, August 20th. Very important, a change of venue. It will be at the Oak Room at Sear Gates Community Center until the Slyman Theater air conditioner is repaired. Funds are being raised for the Veterans Memorial through the Iberia Veterans Association Memorial Fund, a nonprofit organization. Bricks can be purchased for $100 through Mr. Benny Scavasha, I'm probably not saying it right, 364-7428. He said I could read his number aloud. And Mr. Leslie Landry, 367-0308. Yes.
Are they trying to build a veteran memorial building?
No, just a memorial. It's a memorial.
Because that money that they got with that grant, that Representative Landry got $200,000, it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there.
We'll have to check into that.
Yeah, I wish y'all would, because that's for the veteran, the money is for the veteran.
Huh? We'll check into it.
Okay, thanks.
Because I know they're trying to raise money for the memorial.
Yeah. they need to-
Okay, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Begno,
Second.
second by Mr. Merrill. Thank you.